Okay, we are going to finish the Kaplan packet. We have to finish questions 91 to 100, and we have to do the 40 multiple choice questions. So, here we go. How do you set up a ratio? You're going to set up a ratio. You're going to put the word of on top, the word associated with the word of on top, and the number associated with the word to on the bottom. And then you're going to simplify. So it's of, the word associated to of on top, and the word associated with to on the bottom, and you're going to simplify. Of, and then to, and then simplify. The next one, 92. When given a series of percent increases and decreases, how do you determine the ending value? For example, let's start with the number 100. If I say the number 100 increases 10% and then it increased 20%, what was the total increase? You can't add 20%, 10 and 20% and say 30%. It doesn't work that way. So we're going to do it in parts. You're going to do, if I tell you the number 100, it increases by 10%. So that's like multiplying it by 1.10. You get 110. Then why you can't add the 10 and the 20% is because this number is now 110. And if we want to increase this now by 20%, you multiply these two and you get 132. So if they want to know what was the percent increase, so from 100 to 100, so from 100 to 132, what did it increase? It increased 32%. So from 100 to 132, it was a 32%. How do you factor a polynomial or perform FOIL in reverse? Well, you do the last. You do the inner, outer, and then the first. 94. How do you identify which number of a fraction is the part and which is the whole? The part is associated with the word is or are. And the whole is associated with the word of. So it's the part over the whole. That's how you do this. Part over the whole. How do you find the volume of a cylinder? So here's a cylinder looks like a can, right? So you've got a circle here. So I wanted to find out the area of a circle. What's the area of a circle? Pi r squared. And then times the, what's that? Height. So the volume is pi r squared times h. Pi r squared times h. Now, the volume of a cube, if you have a cube, think of a box that has equal sides. It's length times width times height, but they're all the same. All the sides are the same. So the volume is the side cubed for a cube. What about if it's a rectangular solid? So in other words, it's all the sides are not the same. What's the volume? What's the formula for volume? Length times width times height. Surface area. I'm going to draw a box here. You know what surface area is? So think of the cardboard, like a shoebox. And if I want the surface area, I just want the outside. So this is length times width. You've got, how many of these length times width do you have? Two. So the surface area is going to be 2 of length times width plus, and then we're going to call this height, 2 of W times H, and then 2 of length times height. So you're gonna multiply 2 and add 2 of the length and the width, 2 times the width and the height, and 2 times the length and the height, add them all together. What does the word tangent mean besides in trigonometry, opposite over adjacent? Tangent means touches. It's a single point where it touches. Now, when you use this one, it'll say, a circle is tangent to the y-axis, and the center is, let's say, 3, 5. So over 3 and up 5, and if it's tangent to the y-axis, it goes like this. It forms a perpendicular segment here with the y-axis. So in other words, what we know about this is the radius is 3. So that's helpful. Tangent means touches. Then, how do you find the area of a sector? So what does that even mean? So let's say you had a pizza, and you wanted to figure out how much pizza this person ate, what area this person ate. You take, the formula is n is the central angle, so let's say this is a 35-degree angle right here, over a total of, a circle has 360 degrees. You multiply it by, what is the formula for area of the whole circle?
Pi r squared.
Pi r squared. So that will give you the area of just that sector. Do you remember, let's just review, what if I wanted the area, the surface area of this sector? This arc, this is called the arc.
The distance of the arc?
The arc. Yeah, just the arc sector.
Wouldn't you put it on the
You what?
bottom?
You do n, nope, it's
No.
n over 360, and then this is gonna be the circumference of the circle. How do you do circumference of a circle? It's 2 pi r, or you could write, is there another way to write 2 pi r?
ID.
Pi d.
So you're talking about the length of that arc, right?
Yeah, this arc length, that's why I made it darker. Pi times d. So if they want the area, like how much pizza someone ate, okay. So these two formulas just give you, think of like the crust, and this one will give you the area inside, okay? All right, ready for the 40 multiple choice? Here we go. Number 1. It says, Vito, my buddy Vito, reads 96 pages in 2 hours and 40 minutes. How many pages in 1 hour? So what you have to do, you have to first convert this 2 hours and 40 minutes into either a fraction or a decimal. So how many minutes are there in an hour? So 40 minutes over 60 is really 2 2/3. Did everybody see that? Which is really 8/3. So Vito can read 96 pages in 8/3 hour. But we don't divide two fractions. What we do is we multiply by the reciprocal. And you're gonna see that the answer is 36 when you do this. So the answer is 36. Number 2. For how many integers will 7 over x has to be greater than 1/4, and 7 over x is less than 1/3. So how do we do these? You're gonna cross multiply. 7 times 4 is 28. X times 1 is x. So in other words, x is less than 28, and 7 times 3 is 21. Whoops, I keep putting a 4 here. Should be an x. X times 1 is x. X is greater than 21. So let's look at the numbers that are greater than 21. 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, and 28. It's greater than 21, but less than 28. How many integers? You gotta know what an integer is. Because if you think an integer is any number, you might say infinitely many. How many integers do you count?
6.
I count 6. There's 6 integers. The answer is A. Number 3. Tell me how to do this one. You're going to plug -5 in here. So 2 times -5 squared minus 6 times -5 plus 5. What answer did you get? So 25 times 2 is 50, plus 30 is 80, plus 5, you are correct. 85. Okay, number 4. How do you solve this one? What do you do first? Add 5. 2 is less than 4x. I'm going to write it here. 2 is less than 4x, then what? So you get 1/2 is less than x, or x is greater than 1/2. So what's the answer?
B.
B. Next one, number 5. Martin's average score after 4 tests is 89. So think about this. We don't know what these 4 tests are. Each of these boxes is his test score. Divided by 4, the average is 89. Does that make sense? His 4 scores divided by 4 average to be 89. How could we figure out the sum of those 4 scores?
You know this one.
They didn't tell you what the sum of them
You
is.
multiply by 4.
You do 89 times 4, and I told you that yesterday. How do you find the sum if they give you the average and the number of whatever? So 89 times 4, anyone know? It's 356. So the sum of those 4 tests is 356. Well, what would Martin have to get on his 5th test? So you're gonna average 5 tests so that his average score is a 90. What would you do now?
90 times 5.
356 is the sum of the 4, plus, what's the 5th one? We don't know.
94.
Divided by 5, we want it to be a 90. So what would you do?
90 by 5 is 450.
5 times 90 and then subtract 356 and your answer is 94. Martin better get a 94 if he's not going to get a 90.
I get a 26 on this.
And you guys ask us these questions all the time. You ask me, what do I have to get on this test in order to get I need an A in the class, or I need to get, you don't want to see on your report card. So what do I have to get? So that's how you do those problems, okay?
Yeah, but the problem is their homework grade isn't averaged in, so.
Well, if you just look at scores, math,
Right,
like
right,
test
just test
scores.
scores.
Okay, number 6. In 1990, the population of Town A was 9,400. The population of Town B was 7,600. It's saying that, so Town A has a higher population than Town B. And it says every year, the one that's higher, this one, it's going to go down 100. And Town B is going to rise 100. So, what is the rate of change? It's the difference of these two over the difference of what's the difference that they're moving? How many people is the population changing every year? One's going down 100 and one's going up 100. What's the change there? 200. What's the change between 9,400 and 7,600? So it's the change of these two, 9,400 minus 7,600 over the difference of the population is 200. So it's 1,800 divided by 200, so you get 9. So 9 years, they're going to be the same. So you're going to add 9 years to 1990, and the answer is 1999. okay? You get that?
How'd you got 9 and
You added 9, so in 9 years, they're gonna be the same, so add 9 years to
Oh, okay.
1990. Alex, did you have a question?
No, I was just ready.
Okay, next one. What form is this equation in? It's in standard form. I showed you a trick, a shortcut, how to find the slope. If it's in standard form, do you remember what the trick is? It's the opposite of A over B. So it's -5 over -4, which is 5/4. That's the fastest way to do it. If you don't know, what are you gonna do? Write it in slope-intercept form. Question? Okay, Jan types 12 pages in 1 hour. At that same rate, how long will it take her to type 100 pages? So what are you gonna do? You're gonna cross multiply, you're gonna get 12x equals 100, and you're gonna divide by 12, and you get 8.3. So it's 8 hours, and what's a third of an hour is 20 minutes. A third of an hour is 20 minutes, so it's, let's see, 8 hours and 20 minutes. Okay. Next one. How do you solve this one? 9.
Plug -10 in.
-10 gets plugged in here. So you have -10, you're gonna square that, and then you're gonna subtract -10. So it's 100 plus 10 is 110. Number 10, how do you solve this one? What are they asking you to do?
FOIL it.
So 3x times 4x is?
Don't you know it's gonna be even?
Yes, yes. This one, you know it's gonna be that one. Why do you know it's gonna be that one?
Because none of the middle ones cancel out.
Right, if this were a -3 and a +3, then actually these would both have to be the same also. But do it anyway, 3x times 4x is 12x squared, and then you have minus 9x, and then you have plus 16x minus 12, and there's your answer right there. Collect like terms. Yes, that's an easy one. Number 12. Which
Number
of
11.
these, they're asking you, which of these numbers would K be, so that if you factored it, you're gonna get, first of all, this is a perfect, you want it to be a perfect square trinomial. The square root of 36 is 6. So that's what they're looking for. So what would K have to be if you FOILed this out? X plus 6 times x plus 6 would be 12. 6x and 6x is 12x. Number 12, a rug for $75 is on sale, it's 20% off the regular price. So if it's on sale for 20% off, what are you gonna pay? You're gonna pay $80, so 75 times 0.80 is $60. But you have to pay 5% sales tax, so you take this and you multiply it by 1.05 and you get $63. Questions? Number 13, what are you gonna do with 3w minus 5 squared?
FOIL it.
FOIL it. Now there's a shortcut. You square the first term. You multiply these two together times 2, so minus 30w, and then you square the last term. This is always gonna be a plus sign when you square that negative. Square a negative or a positive, so it is A. Number 14. If you were to plot those 2 points, They want to know the distance between them. Where is P? P is -1, 2. So I'm going to just draw a little rectangular coordinate system. -1, 2, I'm going to call that right there. And then 2, 2 is right here. I want you to see something really quick. What kind of triangle is this? This is 4 units, and this is 3 units. What's this going to be? 5. Yep, Pythagorean triple. Now, what if you didn't know that? What if it's not?
Distance formula.
Then you use the distance formula. You do. The distance formula looks like this. It's the square root of, you're going to take your 2 x's and subtract them. -1 minus 2 squared plus -2 minus 2 squared. And you're going to get the square root of 25, which is 5.
How do you know if it's a Pythagorean triple?
3, 4, 5, which is the other one. 5, 12, 13. Next one. If you have a triangle and one side is 3, 5. One side's 5 and the other side's 8. What are the possible measurements of that side? What you do is take these 2 numbers and subtract them and add them. And the possible distance, and we did this last week, it's between these 2 numbers. So it can be anything bigger than 3 or less than 13. These are the possibilities for this side. So which one will not work?
It's all
That one can't work. Because if I said this side were 3, if I took 3 pieces of string, or whatever, one was 3 inches, and one was 5 inches, how can you make this triangle? What's going to happen, these 2 are the same as this, they're going to fall right on top of each other. A 3 and a 5, these 2 will fall, they'll flatten because they add to be 3 and 5, add to be 8, so you can't get that angle, okay? Does that make sense? So it has to be between these 2 numbers. You add them up and you subtract them, so it's between 3 and 13. So this is between 3 and 13, this is between 3 and 13, this is between 3. These are all between 3 and 13. This one is equal to 3, so you can't have that one. Number 16. You
So
have
what's the
a,
answer?
huh?
So what's the answer?
It's,
It's all?
it can't be, it cannot be 3.
Which
Oh,
ones
oh,
can
It cannot be 3. Because like I just said, they would, if it were 3, then these 2 are the same as that. They can't form a triangle. Okay. Next one. The diameter of a circle. What is the formula for circumference?
2 pi r?
Circumference is
pi d or 2 pi
pi times d, right? So if we're saying that this is your circumference, 36 pi,
r. And it's exact.
and what happens to these? Cancel out, what's your diameter?
36.
36.
Actually, I mentioned the right one, so, sorry.
Next one. You have a triangle. Yes, it is 3, 4, 5. It's, even though it says 6, 8, 10, you can reduce these by 2, and it's a 3, 4, 5, which means that's a right triangle. So how do you find the area of this? Don't go with 3, 4, 5. Go keep this. You do 1/2 times 6 times 8. So you get 48. Half of 48 is 24. So the area of this is 24. Then they give you a square and they say the perimeter is 28. So what would, if it's a square and the perimeter is 28, what do each of these sides have to be? 7. 7 times 4 is 28. These have to be 7s. So what's the area of this square? 49. So they want to know what's the difference between these two? What's the answer?
25.
25. 25 is the difference between the area of the triangle and the area of the square. Questions, anyone? Number 18, when you take 4/11ths and you write it as a decimal, you get 0.36 repeating. So if the first digit is 3 and the second digit is 6, and the third digit is 3 and the fourth digit is 6, and the fifth digit is 3 and the so forth, what do you notice? This is the first and the third and the fifth, and this is the second, fourth, 6, 8. So if I want to know the 100th digit, what's it going to be? How did you figure it out?
Because
Yes.
it's even.
Odd, even. Odd, even. Okay, the next one, number 19. What do you think is the biggest number?
3/12 to 12.
Absolutely. 3 to the 12. Number 20, you can do this on your calculator. How do you do this on your calculator? I want you to use the calculator as much as you can. You are going to type this in your calculator
172?
exactly the way you see it. Make sure you use your parentheses button. -2 raised to the -3 power, try it. -2 to the -3 power plus -3 to the -2 power. Bam, it's gonna give you the answer reduced and simplified. Easy. Does anyone not know how to do that? $21. Do you have a question? Anyone? Okay, this is an easy one, 21. How do you multiply these two? What's the rule? You multiply the numbers and you add the exponents. Next one, 22. What's the formula for midpoint? We need the midpoint of these two formulas. What do?
X1 plus X2
You add those two up. What's 2 plus 12? 14 over 2. And then add these two up. You get -12 over 2. So what is the middle point?
over -6.
Yep. 7, -6. You add your two x's, divide by 2, add the two y's, divide by 2. 23. How do you factor that? What's common? Take out an x.
Can you put it back in the form?
Uh-huh. In your same standard form. Can you factor that more? Or is it done?
X and 2, X and
There it is, factored completely. Questions? Next one. How do you do this problem? X plus 5y times x plus 5y. X squared
10.
plus 10 xy plus 25y squared. Questions? 25. How do you solve this one? What is the number that's going to get rid of 3 and 4? 12. You're going to multiply 12 by all three of these. Now, don't forget, all three of them have to get multiplied by 12. Why? Well, because 3, you want to make it even. 3 goes into 12 4 times. 4 goes into 12 3 times. So you have 4x plus 3x equals 12. Add those up, you get 7x equals 12, and divide by 7, 12 sevenths. Is everyone okay with that one? Okay, next one. A line passes through the points 3, 4, and 9W. 3, 4, and 9W. we want the slope of this to be 2. What would W have to be? Well, what's the definition of slope? It's the what? There's your y values. You take your two y values and you subtract them over 3 minus 9, and that is your slope. So let's cross multiply. What's 1 times 4 minus w? 4 minus w, so this times this is 4 minus w. Now you're going to do 2 times, what is 3 minus 9? Negative 6 times 2 is negative 12. Solve for w. Subtract 4, and then divide by negative 1. So w would have to be 16 for these two to have a slope of 2. Number 27, Mary gets 30 miles per gallon in the city and 40 miles per gallon on the highway. Which of the following general equations determines the number of gallons G Mary gets to drive C miles in the city and H miles on the highway? It's E. Number 28, this is an easy one. What happens with these y's when you add them together?
They cancel out.
They cancel out. You get 6x equals 30. What's x? And that's what they wanted you to do, solve for x. If they said, what is y? You plug 5 in and find y. Okay, listen to this question. Harry is a piano student and he can learn 2 pieces in 1 week. But his piano teacher gives him 3 pieces for 4 weeks. 3 pieces, 3 pieces, 3 pieces, and 3 pieces. So 4 weeks, she gives him 3 pieces, and then 3, 3, and 3. So how many pieces did she give him? 12. But he can only learn 2 a week. So how long is it going to take him to learn those 12 pieces? 6 weeks. 2 goes into 12 6 times, so 6 weeks. Good. Next one. You've got a total of 25 students, so that's the whole part. 16 of them are female. What percentage is female? So it's the part over the whole. So 16 out of 25, if you convert that to a decimal, I believe it's 64, so it's 64%. What if it said, what percent is male? What would you do? What would you do to figure out how many male there are?
Subtract 25, 16.
You would subtract 16 from 25 to figure out how many male there are. Okay, this next one. It says, June, Maria, and Billy each have a collection of marbles.
Well,
Okay, June has 20 more marbles than Billy. So June, what do we have to do to Billy to make it equal to June?
add 20 marbles.
Yeah? June has 20 more than Billy, so to keep those two people the same, you have to give Billy 20 marbles and then they have the same. Then it says, Maria has 3 times as many marbles as Billy, so here's Maria now. Maria has 3 times as many as Billy. So if you take the number of marbles that Billy has and multiply it by 3, then Maria and Billy will have the same number of marbles. In Billy, we don't know how many he has. We're just going to say he has B. So it says the sum of these is 100. So June plus Maria plus Billy, they have 100 marbles. So what you're going to do is substitute B plus 20 for June, 3B for Maria, and Billy just has, we don't know. So we're going to solve for B now. 3B plus these 2 B's is 5B. 5B plus 20 is 100. Subtract 20, you get 80, and divide by B, and you get 16. So Billy has 16 marbles. Does anyone have any questions on that one? That's the best way to do it. So they give you these two integers, 8 times 10 to the 9th power. So 8 times 10 to the 9th is 2 times 2 times 2, and then think of 10, 9 tenths. Does that make sense? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and I probably should have put dots in between these, separate them. Nice yellow, huh? And the next number is 6 times 10 to the 3rd. And you don't have to do all this work, but I just wanted to, for all you visual people. 10, 10, 10. So what's the GCF? Well, that's common, and there's 3 10s that are common. So 2, 10, 10, 10 is common to both. So in other words, 2 times 10 to the 3rd, or how else could you call that number? 2,000. Good, 2,000. John wants to make a fruit salad, and he's got this recipe that serves 6 people, but he's got to serve 18 people. What do we have to do to this recipe? Multiply everything by 3, because the recipe only serves 6. We need to multiply it by 3 to get the 18 people served. How many pears
15.
would he need? You take the number of pears and multiply it by 3, you get 15. 15 pears. Next one. Do this on your calculator. Let's do it together. 9. And you're going to raise it. And then I like to do a fraction. And I'm going to put -3 over 2. And that is your easiest way to do it, 1/27. Use your calculator. Question 35. You've got 50 students in a room. And out of those 50, 28 speak English and 37 speak Spanish. Well, if you added those two numbers together, you get 65. We don't have 65 students. How many students do
15
we
of them.
have? 50. Yes, if you subtract that from 50, so if you added these two up, 28 plus 37 is 65. Subtract that from the 50, so that would mean, 60. 60 minus 50, that would mean 15 students speak both English and Spanish. There's an overlap. That's the overlap. 15 speak both languages.
Is it 65 now?
65, I'm sorry. 65 minus 50, yes. Sorry. 65 minus 50 is 15. Average. How do you do average? You're going to add 2x plus 5 plus 5x minus 6 plus -4x plus 2. How many numbers do we have here? 3. What would this be? How do you simplify this? What's 2x plus 5x plus -4x? 3x plus 5 minus 1, or 5 minus 6 is -1. -1 plus 2 is over 3. Now you get that. Can you simplify that? Yes, 3 goes into 3x. So that's your best answer, x plus 1/3. Any questions on that? 37. Now they talk about sine and cosine, and then they talk about tangent. This does not mean touching, this means the ratio. Do you remember yesterday I told you what tangent is equal to? Sine over cosine. Well, what is the sine? It's -0.6, and the cosine is -0.8. How do you simplify this fraction? What happens to the negatives?
You go
They cancel. Move the decimal over, 6/8. So in other words, multiply top and bottom by 10. And can you reduce this? Reduce them by 2, what do you get? 3/4 is your answer. Next one. If the ratio of males to females is 3:5, which one of these numbers could be the total number of students in the group? So how many students are we talking about, 3:5? 8 students. You gotta think about which of these does 8 go into evenly without a remainder? So in other words, which one of these is a multiple of 8? And that's the one C. Bless you. Questions? Okay. Next one, 39. Joan has quarters, dimes, and nickels and no other coins. We did a lot of these story problems. Which of the following represents the total number of coins in her pocket? A. And this last one I thought was one of the more difficult ones. I had to read this one like 5 times to understand what they were asking. So let's see if I can help you out here. It says, in a certain club, the average age of male members is 35. And the average age of the females is 25.
What is that?
Out of this population, 20% of the people in this club, 20% of the members are male. So if we were talking about 100 people, how many of those 100 people would be male?
20.
I'm using a round number. If 20% are male, we're talking how many are male? 20, and 80 would be female. It says that the male age is 35 and the female age is 25. If you multiply these, you get 2,000. And this one, I'm sorry. This one you get 700, and this one you get 2,000. So how do you find the average age of these? You add these up and divide by 2. So you get, you divide by 100, because we have 100 people in the bar, 100 people. So 2,700 divided by 100, what's the average age?
27.
27. Now, you could do it with any numbers. I could have used 1 and 4. And then this number would have been a 5. So I used 100, I picked 100 people. But you want to make sure that you weight them correctly. There's 20% are male, 80% are female. We are done with this review.